This is Realize Radio, Episode 6. We're jumping right in.
Hello.
Hey, Rambo.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear about your prince.
Yes. What a shame. Yeah, everyone's talking about it. And it's one of them, how he looks. It's like they purposely make him look dead, I think, in the pictures.
Yeah, he's definitely looked dead for a while. He's definitely,
Yeah.
he hasn't looked healthy or living, really. He hasn't looked like a normal living, breathing. And there was that one picture of him driving in the car, and he looked like the Weekend at Bernie's. Like his eyes were wide open, and
Yeah, it's just the head in the back of the car. What it was like, I don't even think he was there, because you probably know what we think about Prince Philip anyway. But
I know. Oh, here comes Murph.
All the numbers popped up, didn't you? The number 9 all over the show.
They sure did. Hey, Murph.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, bud.
How you doing?
Right, Murph?
Hey, Rambo.
We're just mourning Prince Philip. May he rest. He needs it. He looked pretty tired.
People are really upset about it over here. Like,
yeah,
I know people who are actually upset about it.
Yeah.
And it's mad how emotionally involved people are with the royal family. Like, close to tears. I know a few people that are close to tears because of this.
I know.
And it's just crazy that I'm saying it's not even real to these people. I went round them all today I went and seen a family member who's really close to loves the royal family, and is really upset about the situation. So it shows the emotion you can get from these stories, even though we're laughing about it. There's people out there that genuinely sad about this,
Yeah.
Again, it's the energy thing. Again, they lose the energy. But I think, personally, it's to mark, like I said on the last episode, something else. It's a royal death. And this number 9, and then you had DMX die today as well. And it comes to something that Murph said a while back, and somebody, Marius said it a while back as well, about the number 9 and how whatever you multiply it by, the answer's always 9. And it seems to me something to do with that. It's the too many 9s.
Number 9 is the most powerful number of the numbers in the vortex math, and number 9 is out of the numbers. At 369 supposedly rule the non-physical world. That's why you see the 33 and 66 often in energy-related issues. Energy in terms of electricity, even. But number 9 is the most important out of the 369, and it rules, like I said, the non-physical world, everything that we can't see, all the waves, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's the importance of the 9.
Murph, you said one time it was really interesting that the 9 represents illusion as well, because it's a mirror of the 6. And when you just mentioned wave, when you think about a wave, it has just every crest has every up wave has a down wave of equal measure, and so that kind of looks like a 9 and an inverted 6.
It is the only number that can be 2 numbers.
Oh yeah.
It is like an illusional number to look at. You can make it a whole different number.
Yeah, there's something to that.
9.
Yeah, it represents this same but different illusion. It's the theory. The concept is called a Janus. It's basically a twin, but there is something fundamentally opposite about the twin. It's like a mirror version of the thing, and so they may appear to be the same, but fundamentally they are quite opposite of each other.
Even the date, the 4th of the 9th, 2021, adds to 18, and the 1 and 8, the 9 again.
Wow.
It's just everywhere.
Wow. And Brother Berg did a little deep dive. I mean, all I had to look at it was like 333 666 363. I was like,
Yeah,
oh my God.
303 days after his birthday.
Oh, wow.
So you've got your 33 there as well. It's so scripted. It's undeniably scripted, I would say. And let's say he was a real person. Let's just say he was, and he wasn't. The royal family wasn't an illusion. If he would have died a long time ago, and they have obviously waited for this date to release the information that he's died. This time around, it is the numbers to me that have stood out. There's the nines everywhere, and
Yeah.
It can't be a coincidence, and it does. I think it's representing the illusion. So we're saying the royal family is an illusion, and then the numbers are coming out to match the illusion.
So really, it's not really us saying that. It's us saying it. It's we wouldn't think this if they wouldn't make it so put it in our face. So they're really saying it to us. I mean, a lot of what we're doing is like what I noticed myself too. It's like we're like Eureka, and we have like a lot of people are saying that, oh, like an awakening by mistake, and and I say, like, are you sure it's a mistake? I think they're giving us all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're sitting there thinking that we figured something out, when really it's like they kind of knocked us over the head with a hammer with it.
The numbers seem ridiculous. So, okay, so if we're going to take this kind of metaphor, they're knocking us over the head with the hammer, with the numbers, just like all of these things. It's showing us this is calculated and pre-coordinated and somehow pre-mapped out. What does it mean, though? What is King Philip's death really represent?
Yeah, and we've had a lot of royal family thing this year, haven't we? Like with the Harry and Meghan, and they've always been in the news in 2021 the whole way through. And I've seen a comment before about what if they're building people up to turn against the royal family.
Yep.
And if they were to say do the Diana job on Meghan, for instance, and then they make it about race,
they're building up to that. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, it could turn everybody against the royal family, and it would give them a chance to have their great reset and present William and Kate, who are loved by everybody, as the new royal family.
Yeah, I could totally see it. I mean, there's no coincidence that they're all on the world stage. Just because Harry and Meghan, using air quotes, have defected to the United States and given up their so-called royal duties, it just makes it more apparent that this whole realm is where the action's taking place. It doesn't matter that they're no longer in this royal realm. And the fact that they were on Oprah, and I think it's also lushy because and they're talking about all this dynamic racism within the British royal family, which I don't even believe the royal family. I believe it's all a construct and these people don't really exist. But yes, it could be a mirror of society, and society has racial tension, but this is all just designed to inflame those racial tensions through this very directed, mirrored lens of royal family. And so they put all this shit on the royals, all these storylines, all these, I don't know, it's the way that they use the royal family to kind of sway public everything is very interesting. And they don't even really have power, but they do. That's the part I don't really understand.
Yeah. And you give you this image of that they're drinking out of golden cups and all this stuff, don't they? And
oh, totally. Everything dripping in diamonds all the time.
Yeah.
Literal golden cups. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it could be something. I'm leaning towards it. It's like a reset for the royal family that they're looking for myself, like where they can be loved again,
Yeah. Murph, what do you think about the royals?
I don't know. I think for the most part, a lot of the royal families that at least we see are like you said, more constructs and like stories, fables to an extent. I don't know. I don't think much about the royals. I think if anything, I think that like the media and the way that we're being shown these events and these narratives is like that they're trying to, if anything, not reinforce or reintroduce them as powerful entities, but to kind of almost show that they have no clothes with the government and with the royals. My most recent conversation where I bounced things off with my quote unquote normie people, when I kind of step out of the Twitter tribe and kind of deal with regular people, For my friend who's probably listening to this, he's the regular person, which he probably is proud of.
Hi, regular friend, regular person friend.
He finds it very entertaining, but he's not yet willing to support any of our theories or anything like that. But entertaining.
He'll come around.
Is it not about the panda? Panda
not even the pandas.
That did not offend him. That did not offend him. The pandas. Like
good.
That.
Universal language.
But this is the guy who like 6 months ago didn't want to hear any of it. Who didn't even find it slightly entertaining. Who wanted to who was trying to reach out to my friends, trying to say that they have an intervention for me, that I lost my mind. You know?
We've all been there. We've all been there, Murph.
He's hanging out with this person named Rambo.
Rambo told me to say it.
Rambo. What's wrong with this guy? He's lost his mind. Talking about vibrations and stuff, all this stuff.
Yeah, and another thing with is the purple again all over. If you type in what does the color purple represent, what are the chances that
royal,
royal and magic?
Yeah,
you know, it's like they are telling us royal magic and mystery.
Speaking of royal magic and mystery, oh my gosh, real quick, did you guys see that mummy parade the other day? The ancient Egyptian mummy parade that they had in Egypt. It was all purple, all gold, and so I think that's pretty interesting that they had this this historical moving of these mummies. And I think the Egyptian and their royalty, a mummy, these Egyptian royal mummies was like the original royalty of Egypt. That's kind of one of our earliest royal stories. So talk about royal fables. I don't think there was any mummies in those things. I think they were just doing a parade. And then when you come to think of it, Prince Philip looked like a straight up mummy. What are the odds that they would have this mummy parade? And now Prince Philip's going to have a very similar parade where they take he looked like a mummy and now he's inside of a casket and they're going to parade him around. What are the odds that we got this ancient Egypt royal mummy parade and now we're going to have a current modern, mummy parade? Weird. A lot of it's weird.
He's always a very strange character. The comments that he would always make, that
the virus comment.
The virus comments. He said, that if you want to be, you'd be reincarnated as a virus to kill all the poor people and stupid people, basically. That's one of them, and the other one where he went to China and was speaking to British exchange students and said, be careful not to come back slanty-eyed.
Oh no.
Yeah, that, and then the infamous situation, which the Q stuff got into, and I actually got into it at a time, and I actually sent this to the person who I was referring to as my regular friend who finds this entertaining, about the British family, about the royal family going over to Canada and killing those kids.
Oh yes, at the island, the human hunting games.
Yeah, which of course people believed, I believed to be real, because of course the International Criminal Court,
basically ruled that the Queen was guilty of hunting human children for sport.
What's his name? Roger Allen Steele? Robert something Steele. What's that guy's name?
The one who did all the investigation that was sharing all this stuff.
Supposedly he's ex-CIA.
Yeah.
But he's at
of course it's Steele.
Yeah. He's a YouTube channel, right?
They're stealing our brain cells. That's what they're doing.
A lot of he's probably very popular on Gab.
Quite, I'm sure. Yeah.
Or on Parler.
Right? Well,
he's a rock star on Parler.
I think that the royals are just really good. They're just energy. They're really good energy magnets. We're obsessed with the royals. They can make them evil over time. They always do, but yet they somehow also make them beloved. It's like they have to find this balance within the character. We've talked about this with Tom Hanks, who's Hollywood royalty. He is both extraordinarily outmeasured in his public adoration. People just the public adores Tom Hanks, but on the other side he turned into this mysterious monster that was somehow connected to the most extreme shadowy underworld that you could imagine, seemingly very much intertwined, especially with that hot dog clock picture with him and Gail and the black eye and Oprah. And oh boy, speaking of Oprah again, with Meghan and Harry, I don't know. I think that there's something about the royal family that has always been this extraordinarily polarizing element. And that's why they're purple, because the polarizing colors are the extremes of the color spectrum. Red on one, violet on the other, and violet is a shade of blue. It's not a shade of purple. So when you wrap those around, you get purple.
And it's crazy how you get mystery You get it all, don't you? The mystery, the magic,
intrigue.
yeah.
And they're untouchable, really. You know, they're untouchable.
People love them.
Love them.
You need the mix of the adoration and the disdain to create the vortex and the emotion.
Yes.
Right? You need the positive and the negative. You want the romantic asshole. You want the mix. You don't want somebody who's just all one.
Yep.
Right?
That Murph is the personification of the yin yang symbol. And I think we've talked about this. It represents swirling division, but it also represents that tiny blot of darkness in the light. In the tiny blot of light in the darkness, which makes you, the lovable asshole, or the saint with the spot of the center, and it's kind of like that represents that need to have both. I think it represents it powers the realm, like this dichotomy, this diversion, the swirling polarity. What you keep coming back to this idea of vortex and vortices.
Well, I think everything takes place everything moves in a vortex, whether it's horizontal or it's vertical. I mean, vertical. I mean, we all came out of a vagina. We all came out of the uterus. I mean,
call your mother. Everyone, call your mom. If you still can call your mom.
That's your OG vortex right there.
That's your OG matrix. Matrix means womb. I can't say that enough. Yeah.
OG matrix. That's the
mater. MATR is mother, but womb it also means womb. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I just think it comes up everywhere. Tornadoes. In nature, mimics nature. We never really were taught properly kind of what a tornado was in school, and kind of the similar to lightning. All of these things. Lightning explains electricity to a good extent, demystifies it. Tornadoes explain energy, how it operates, in swirls and spirals. But we're never taught these things. We're given the Ben Franklin, story, but we're not explained anything further. And it's really us to kind of the breadcrumbs are given or put there, but no one's going to put it together for us.
And I feel like a lot that we learn is from the movies. I learned everything I know about tornadoes from that movie Twister.
Yeah, same.
We all did. And even in the movie, I think a big part of the movie was about how we just don't get we just don't get it. And so they had to send those little balls up into the thing, they had to build and that was all about reading the inside of the tornado, because they were just so unknown and so mysterious on how they actually worked and what they did. But to your point, Murph, we don't need to know how the tornado itself works. We just need to comprehend that tornadoes are showing us how something much bigger works. You know what I mean?
Understand the word, understand nature metaphorically, and that kind of way, which isn't really taught in the school.
Wild,
right?
No, the public education system is not intended or designed to yield an educated public.
Higher education, I don't think either is.
You got to be smoking something pretty good to think you're gonna.
There are kids, 18-year-old kids on Twitter that are twice as intelligent as 40-year-old university professors that I know personally.
Yeah.
And it's not a question of they're intelligent, more intelligent than the other person. The person who might be the university professor might be, more intelligent per se, but in terms of intuition, they don't have anything. They're so lost.
I heard something recently that IQ is not a measurement of your intelligence, but rather it's a measurement of your ability to adapt and comprehend new inputs and connect them to existing patterns that you have learned. So basically, your ability to recognize patterns within information. Instead of knowing everything, maybe it's more important to have an encyclopedic understanding of what you do know and start to see patterns within it, because some people are kind of just blind to the patterns that are existing everywhere. I don't know, something about patterns.
I think to a large extent, what people choose to put their attention to, you get lost in so many different things. It's a question of filter as to what, in the beginning when I was on Twitter and I first started getting into everything, I literally retweeted everyone's comments, and because I couldn't really separate, I didn't have a proper framework in which to discriminate what I should what I should focus on,
Mm.
and what a really great comment was, as opposed to what kind of okay comment was.
Mm-hmm.
And now the moment I feel it, I don't even think anymore as to, like I'm going to like hurt somebody's feelings because I didn't think that somebody else's comment was as good as this one.
Mm.
I'm like, fuck it, this one's good. I don't care if it's a 17-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take care of an anime kid. The anime kid just said something better than I could even come up with.
I think that's the beauty of Twitter. It kind of it really is an evening, a leveling, a flattening of the playing field of the plane.
A perfect example is that Phoenix Rising.
Yeah.
On the last podcast, I was like, he, she, it. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I got a direct message. It's like, by the way, I'm a woman.
I love it.
It seemed kind of masculine, actually, but she said that herself. So I'm not saying anything to, Phoenix. You said it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
the majority, before I started doing a lot of podcasts, the majority of people thought human vibration. Actually, people still do think human vibration is male but I'm starting to kind of break out of that. I'm starting to be more feminine with human vibration, I guess. But I like that Twitter is genderless. I like it. I like that you can get, anyway.
When you go off Twitter, like, can you speak to anyone about these things without them like giving you that crazy look? Because I sometimes try and just talk about stuff, and it's just where I'm just completely forgetting that I can say what you want on Twitter, and then I'm saying it to people who know, and they're like, no.
I have to be pretty careful. I don't start with John Bonet. That's for sure.
No.
In the real world, I started with John Bonet on Twitter. She was my straight out the gate, John Bonet. But I do not, if I'm talking with someone, if I'm discussing these types of things IRL, as I've started to do more and more, as I've gotten more comfortable talking about this type of stuff. And these conversations, these kind of just open dialogues actually, just really help. But I've noticed that I start with, I talk about purples, and then I talk about systems being fake. I don't talk about people being fake. I just talk more about systems being fake, because we can all kind of get on that. We can all kind of comprehend that money's, even though it's real and our mortgage is real, and if I don't, whatever, and if I don't pay rent or whatever, I'm going to get kicked out. So money's real, but the actual paper in my pocket, if I hold up a $100 bill and hold up a $1 bill and I light them both on fire, there's nothing special about the $100 bill, and we can kind of like come to an agreement that these things are illusions that we share. And I feel like that's a nice starting point, is just comprehending that there are certain things in our world that are very important, but they may not be true. They may not be authentic. They could be representing a thing, but they may not be the true thing. And starting with that, I feel like I've had some cool conversations just starting at that level. And then kind of talking about Corona, I feel like more people are opening up to the idea that there isn't a deadly global virus ravaging our world where people are dying in the streets. And we can kind of talk about that narrative a bit. Like, hey, remember when they were telling us that? You remember a year ago when we were being told that people were dying in the street in Wuhan, China, and that this whole thing was going to like kill everyone, And that never happened. And anyway, I feel like I'm still learning how to be human vibration in the real world, but there's lots of little things that I feel are not just interesting and fun to talk about, but actually could be quite illuminating and lead to bigger discussions down the road, little by little.
COVID's always a good place to start with anybody, I think.
Yeah.
And that's always, you can test the waters with some people if they think it's real, and they just don't go there with the stuff I think about Twitter, like what I write on Twitter and stuff. I always ask, what do you think about COVID? Do you know, when you get the feel for it before I start going, pandas don't exist and whatnot. It's like,
pandas don't exist.
And then I always like I said to somebody the other day about the Manchester bomb, and there was shots, so they couldn't believe I actually said that didn't happen. Like, so I went from 0 to 100 in like a minute, from COVID to nobody died in the Manchester bomb.
Oh,
Got carried away with myself.
Yeah, 0 to 60 real quick. Yeah. Oh, I've been there. I've definitely been there. And it's that moment when you realize that you are living in a totally different world of reality, that there are multiverses happening. There are layered universes happening right now. There are layered realities where we can share this realm but my reality is so my perception of reality, my comprehension of this world around me, my behaviors within it, and the way that everything that's within my consciousness somehow can be completely separate, and not just separate, but totally different and opposite than somebody else. It's kind of wild. And we can still exist in the same realm and be receiving the same information. Very odd. Very odd.
It is. It definitely multiple realities going on. Definitely.
Yeah.
With the virus shows it really, doesn't it? That really shows it. And then the vaccine, that's showing there's two different realities going on. One's that want it, one's that don't. Joe. And speaking of the vaccine, it's been more and more in the news recently about these blood clots and stuff like that. It's like it's slowly coming, this vaccine, the vaccine hoax, let's call it. You can see it building up, so that's what's coming next, the vaccine pandemic.
I think so too. We've been kicking that idea around over the past few episodes about the vaccine, the next story.
But people believe it, like in the conspiracy world. Oh, somebody, like we said last time, they've died. Yeah, they've got blood clots off the vaccine, but they're saying that the virus is fake. You know, there's a lot of that going on, I think, as well. But this Oxford one, they're stopping that one, aren't they now, due to have they put it on the hold or something like that?
Yeah.
It's like the swinging of the pendulum, you know,
Yeah.
just keeping everybody hypnotized into the story, you know. It's
wow. Yeah. Yeah. That goes back to the hypnotization, Rambo. That goes right back to what Murph was saying with the pendulum swinging does create, if you look at like a pendulum, actually chaos. If you look at what pendulum represents, chaos, a swinging pendulum.
yeah. While everything else has been going on as well, in the background, there's still the George Floyd story building up.
Oh,
There's new footage now that shows the policeman wasn't actually on his neck. You know?
What?
Yeah, there's a new footage of that he was actually on his shoulder and he wasn't on his neck. And it was how the camera angle was where we could see it on his neck. And it clearly shows he's not on his neck.
Oh my.
So that's just bubbling away in the background.
That's truth in plain sight right there, telling us that everything we see is a manipulation of the vantage point, is up to the angle. If we're just seeing everything through the wrong viewfinder, they show us everything through the wrong viewfinder. So we spent a whole year in riotous uproar about being on the neck of another human being and asphyxiating through 8 minutes and 46 seconds on his neck. And now that is all just poof, it's gone because of
in the New York headlines, the New York Times headlines today, it was, does it matter that he was on his shoulder versus his neck? Does it really matter that Chauvin was on the shoulder?
Well, it certainly did a year ago. It certainly
Oh,
did.
Yeah. They made this whole documentary called 8 minutes 46 on his neck.
And we have to 8 minutes 46. That's very significant. That's when the plane hit the Twin Tower. 8:46, 8 minutes 46. Like there's that number finds its way. You talked about 369, earlier. 846. I feel like has just as much, keeps showing up just as much. Something to that. I don't know.
It adds up to 18, which is divided by 3 is 6. So it's 666.
Oh boy. There you go.
But it could be the 666, or it could just be again the 9 again.
Oh yeah, back to the 9. You're 100% right. Yeah, which is this 9 then 6 and swirling back to the yin yang.
Right there.
The yin yang kind of looks like a 6 and a 9. Oh my goodness. What else?
It's a lot of. We had DMX, didn't we?
DMX. Yes, he died too today, right?
Yeah, and didn't he have his vaccine not too long ago?
That they're writing that into all the stories. All the stories have included that little tidbit prominently, usually at the beginning of the story. They're definitely planting the seed, yeah. And knowing all of the pharmaceuticals that DMX has been involved with in his lifetime, I think it's ironic that they're trying to pin this on a vaccine. You know what I mean? I think that he's OD'd a million times. I don't think that the vaccine's going to get him,
No.
What else? What else did you say? What else did you say, Rambo?
The Marvin Hagler, the boxer, he died of it a couple of weeks ago. He died, and they said, "Oh, it was after the vaccine." It's like the death of bringing something up with the vaccine. You can see it coming, can't you?
Wow. I'm scrolling through this DMX little memorial on Twitter, and all of his videos look like a simulated face.
They're all purple.
They're all well. First of all, they're all purple. Yeah, for sure, all purple. But something about the face isn't quite sitting right to me. It looks like it's separate from the body, kind of like floating in space over the.
And he was in hospital. Was it like 6 days?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, DMX and that, and and the boxer. So people are dying off. There seems to be like a well, don't they say people die in threes? That's kind of been, I've heard that before. That deaths come in three. I feel like that's, but I feel like there's a lot more happening than just three.
And do you remember back when that was something since like the last week, the police raided the policeman, that guy, the terrorist attack in Washington.
Oh gosh, there's so many things.
And he ran the two policemen over.
That story disappeared. Noah Green.
Noah Green, like with the evergreen, and it's just like, and the Noah is like the ship.
The ship.
The Noah's Ark.
Oh my gosh! So another green ship.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like that story kind of got buried. I feel like that should have been. I feel like it's so strange. I feel like if stories just don't hit a certain limit, like if our loosh doesn't spike to a certain point, they just drop the story because they're like, nope.
Like Everard, what happened to her? You know, there was a big hype about it.
I know, Sarah Everard just completely disappeared. They're gonna bring her back in an incredible, extraordinary way, I think, and it's gonna be like this bomb, but I think they're keeping it quiet because they're going to bring it back with some really loosey detail.
Yeah, because they've not mentioned how it happened, why it was her. Not even if they've had a funeral, you know, and after all the public attention, you would have thought we would have seen something about the funeral, you know, if it had happened.
No, it didn't seem to happen.
There's no one to bury.
I've been keeping an eye out for that. I've been keeping a watch for her, and they have not posted any more news stories about her, any more updates. It's been really interesting.
But in a way that's also done on purpose to maximize the loosh effect from the story, because then it almost solidifies that the situation was like real and tragic, because then people say, oh, you know, what happened to the Sarah Everhart lady, and people and women will say, oh, look at how important we are in society. People forget about our existence, when in reality the story never even happened and the woman didn't even die.
Right.
You know? So it's like another layer of almost making it seem real in people's minds. And what's crazy, the crazy thing about it is that the story never even really took place. It's the same thing with Ashley Babbitt, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The death from the only death from the January 6th Capitol insurgents. Correct. Yeah. Ashley Babbitt. Yeah. Her picture was purple and pink in her first picture that was released to the public, and her eyes were hexagonal. She did not look real. That woman did not exist. Ashley Babbitt. And it was spelled in a way that is a weird spelling, which is something we talk about with these victims, these simulated victims that don't exist. They usually have some sort of weird spelling. Her, there was nothing going on.
And the family, they always have, she had their Twitter account as well. They always have the Twitter account set up for them, don't they? So that when people are saying they're not real, they've got a full history of tweets and stuff, you know.
That would happen with the videos. Maybe about a few months ago, when a lot of the videos were circulating of people, having bad reactions from the vaccine and everything, and I would say, why do you think this is real? And so people would seriously reply back saying, well, I found it on Facebook.
Right.
It's the person's real account on Facebook. It's like, what? Really? Like Facebook? That's the source?
Do you think Facebook was created for this?
Yes. Facebook, I mean, literally 2004. In 2004, so literally 3 years. I mean, if you think about it, Google was introduced in 1999. within 2 years of not before 9/11, 2 years before 9/11, Google comes out. So it's a way that people can kind of find out, like, oh, what happened with this 9/11 stuff, and they'll look through online to get their information, as opposed to, I guess, the way people always found out information. And then 3 years later, you have Facebook. So I look at it as like Google's kind of the way that people will interpret the world, like and Facebook is how people interpret interpersonal relationships. How people deal with each other on a more personal level, not on a global. I don't want to use the word global because certain people get really triggered by that word nowadays, which is ironic. If you think about it, about a year ago, if somebody told me someone would be triggered by, somebody say global, the opposite would have been true, that people are triggered when somebody brings up somebody talking about flat Earth. So in a way, I truly think we've had a great reset. It just probably just a lot of people aren't realizing it yet.
I feel it. I feel like there's been a leveling up, a lot of consciousness in some way. And that, I feel like, is the result of a reset of energy. I feel like there was kind of a polar shift. I mean, I had a polar shift in my brain, in my understanding of the world. I had an internal like a tide change within myself, where I saw the world one way, and then almost within an instant, I was able to visualize and understand and comprehend the world, same information, just a totally new lens through which to see.
Yeah, it's like to refresh us all. Maybe a good thing to refresh everybody, and clear the air, because there's like a lot of tension in the world, and it could be, this is like playing the good guy here, that it could be that it was all done to like kind of bring society together, kind of thing, even though they're calling it, do you know what I mean, like a separate, like 6 foot apart and all that stuff. But then when they do lift it, they may lift this reset, and everyone like kind of respects everything again, respects the world.
Yeah. I do know a lot of people had their best life in 2020, being able to.
I had a great time.
Yes. I've heard, respect to anybody that had a hard time financially, personally, being stuck with your loved one. If you're having a hard time with your loved one, I bet that wasn't very fun, or, having to school take over the job of the public education system. Certainly not a good time. A lot of hardships, but I have heard from a remarkable number of people that I've spoken to that used that reset of all systems, all the things that usually held their life together were suddenly gone. And they were able to do something different and significant with the time, and come out in a way that was almost like a rebirth.
And again, it's how you view it. It's your state of mind again, really. Because if you're seeing it as a negative thing, it'll be negative.
Yeah.
You can. I can see how it looked really negative. To be honest with you, it does look not great, doesn't it? When they say the Great Reset, and you're seeing all these things changing around us, in like nothing's changing, but these people are listening to the rules basically and believing it.
Call it something scary so that we think it's something scary.
Definitely, because really it's only on our belief that we're believing they have some sort of power and they can tell us what. It's the illusion that we're believing in them people, that are just characters really on the world stage.
Okay, speaking of characters on the world stage, I'm glad you brought that up. The Great Reset is kind of the brainchild of that Klaus Schwab guy. What's his name? Klaus
Schwab, the evil doctor.
He is such an evil villain. He's such a boogeyman. I mean, he is a Scooby-Doo style evil villain that I just want to rip his mask off at the end of the episode, Even his name, Klaus Schwab, and he is the founder of the World Economic Forum, correct? I feel like that's his, whether he was, or he's the head of it. He's the head of the World Economic Forum. Founder. And, everything I see from the World Economic Forum, it always looks fake. All these meetings that they trickle out to the public, it always looks pretty digital. That aside, the World Economic Forum is responsible for the Great Reset language, correct? Like it's coming from up top, right? This isn't like a conspiracy word. This is a real term, quote unquote, that we're getting from these quote unquote real leaders, the World Economic Forum.
He actually wrote a book called The Great Reset.
Oh wow! Oh,
But
that's right.
he
Oh
did
wow! So he did coin it. I mean, this is his thing.
he did coin it,
Wow.
but for the sake of conversation, we're saying he did it. But in
Yeah.
reality, there is no Klaus Schwab.
Right? No,
There,
right.
there's no
Yes.
Klaus Schwab. I mean,
Ugh.
it is such a villain. I
They
think
had to create a character to pin this idea on,
he looks
like,
like Francois Hollande, the ex-president of France. Spitting
oh,
image, actually. Spitting
I
image.
think he looks like
would
Tom
you say
Hanks for
a
some reason.
template? A template. Oh, he does look like Tom Hanks, kind of.
No,
I never
I
look
think
up
I think it's the same person.
templates. Hashtag human vibration.
And guess what? And World Economic Forum was created exactly when Klaus Schwab was 33 years old.
Oh,
Oh,
really? Oh, of
Yeah.
course it was. For his 33rd birthday, he gifted himself the World Economic Forum.
I mean, it's a crazy story. It's a story of some guy in Germany or whatever who went to university, got about maybe 20 different doctorate degrees
Mhm.
in all these different subjects, and then petitioned the government to create a consortium or something, a public-private group to foster European European trade and ideas, and granted him a license to create this World Economic Forum. The story makes
Brilliant.
absolutely zero sense.
It's brilliant, though. It's brilliant in how the public will accept a public-private partnership. That's what Bill Gates. How does the government gain more power? By creating a fake public person to give power to, and now the government has more power because the government
Rockefeller, the same thing with Rockefellers.
a hundred percent.
Because also it's layers of these different groups. Because you have the World Economic Forum puts out the Great Reset information, and people who might be skeptical about the World Economic Forum will say, "Are you kidding me? The guy Klaus Schwab, the guy who speaks like the Gestapo officer. I mean, the thickest German accent you've ever heard in your life. It's the COVID-19, the COVID-19 crisis.
COVID-19. Yeah.
Nobody speaks like that. But then if you question it, at least
Dr. Strangelove, I feel like everyone's accent was along Klaus's level.
It's very. It's actually
people love that kind of villain, though, don't they? They love that kind of villain.
Classic, absolute classic villain.
And people even still now, but more so before, would say that, it's definitely real because the Rockefeller Foundation published their Operation Lockstep.
Yeah, I read all that thinking like, I'm onto it,
Yes. Isn't it ridiculous that they put that stuff out there and we think it's real, but it's really just it's so
put out
brilliant. It's really just put out there as like a bear trap, an intellectual bear trap. The more we dig in, the tighter
research.
Yeah, the more we research. Once we're in the trap, the more we move around in the trap, the tighter the trap gets. It's an intellectual bear trap for the mind. It's brilliant, And then I did the same thing with the WikiLeaks emails. I probably read every single one of them emails. Honestly, I probably did. I'm such a curious person. I remember staying up till 4:00 in the morning doing targeted searches within those Podesta emails. God,
it's just there for you. Everything. It's
to get lost.
You're supposed to find it's like a maze to get to the dead end though when you get there.
Yeah, I think so. No light down a rabbit hole. I think our curiosity is our most precious resource. Our curious, focused attention, our childlike, unbiased curiosity is so powerful that I think they find ways to hijack it. I think they find ways to steal it. They're like, well, let's just, they have to like point us in the wrong direction. They literally just like turn us around and push us in the opposite direction that we are naturally inclined to go to, and then just make the path so like brilliantly, blindingly like fascinating that we never even look behind us and go, wait a second, I'm headed in the wrong direction. Yeah.
Well, it also it discourages people from asking questions, thinking that they're going to look stupid, or like a cheese ball. for thinking something.
Yes.
I mean, just recently we're talking, some of the people who are interested in Mercury and the free energy issue, of what we kind of research all the time, and we've done doing for months, with ether and energy, and basically we all came to the idea of maybe trying to apply some of the stuff we did, and there's websites that sell like little Tesla coils you can make yourself and everything. So we're trying to do it ourselves. But I mean, just in terms of like, we're thinking about ether, and ether being water, like basically like we're fish and air. I mean, what is air but really water vapor, right? So it makes sense that we are fish in a way. But
That's why
check this out.
Jesus is portrayed as a fish.
So we're trying to figure out where, like, I was thinking about it, and I thought, well, okay, so water is H2O, right?
Yes.
Water is H2O, and Marcia Ramalho, the one who the brilliant
looks like Mickey Mouse
researcher who did the work on the Tartaria stuff, who the videos that got me all crazy, and like I've been pushing her work for a while because I love the stuff that she talks about ether and energy and the architecture keying into how they did electricity. But anyway, so H2O, if you boil water, which is H2O, it turns into water vapor. Water vapor, oxygen. So it's oxygen. But in the midst there, what happened to the H? Where did the hydrogen go?
Yeah. Where did the hydrogen go? It's
still there. But if you look at from like the stuff we learn in school, they don't acknowledge it. They don't acknowledge the
hydrogen go into the ether and power. I mean, hydrogen
is ether. That's Marcia's theory. Marcia's theory
is a great theory. I can't believe we never even thought of this. Where does the H go? Excuse me, where'd the H go? Can you imagine a kid asking that? The teacher's like, abort mission.
It was 3:30 in the morning, and I was thinking about this, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to embarrass myself so badly by asking this question, because this is like a question that I should have figured out by the time I was in third grade. So I was like, screw it. And I just went on there and I threw in a bunch of emojis so I could have plausible deniability. Like, I was just joking. I'm like, guys, check this out. You boil the water, where's the H go? What's up with the H? And so I added a bunch of my emojis at the end. But the next day, some really smart guy was like, actually, the hydrogen is still there. It just, they don't really account for it.
Oh my God.
So it wasn't a stupid question, in other words.
I feel like that is a bit of the childlike wonder, the childlike curiosity. I feel like a kid would ask that question, it's not a dig. It's an applaud. It's an applaud to your ability to return to that sense of observation. Kid magic relies on curiosity based on the observable world. We're observing this world. It's new and fresh. And so as a kid, you're not like burdened and tethered by all these facts and figures you have about, quote unquote, about the world. You're just observing, and you're taking in things as you see them, and you're making these judgment calls based on observation. And so I think for you now, I feel like all of us, Rambo, myself, you, Murph, I feel like we are all kind of returning to this beautiful state. Actually, everyone in this crew, I feel like I'm really noticing this kind of like this playfulness, but with that child, with like a return to like play, a return to play with knowledge, but to play with ideas, to play with our understanding of the world, to build things, to play in the sandbox and build these structures based on our observations and what's around us. I don't know. I think it's really interesting. It's like it's kid magic. It's cool. And so
I think Twitter facilitates it, because people are, like I said before, the genderless thing, the age, it basically takes people off of these social labels.
Yeah. And we can just run around together and play and run free. We can run wild and free in this field, this wide open field.
But if you probably took all of these people, right, including myself, and took away the avatars and gave them the real names and their real social, for lack of a better phrase, social status, all that kind of where they're from, where they, what country, what religion, all these kinds of different social things, and put them all in a room together, everybody would be so self-conscious, they wouldn't talk about what they really want to talk about. They'd have typical boring cocktail party bullshit.
No, if we knew it was us,
what I'm saying is,
you're right. If we were our 3D selves,
if we never knew each other through the lens of Twitter, through whatever, you knew my real name, I knew your real name. We just talk about, what's going on in the politics these days, trying to impress each other with how intelligent we were, but we wouldn't really talk about anything.
You're right. You're right, and that's what makes the quote unquote real world kind of lame sometimes. You know, I feel I have the most fun on Twitter. I have the most fun through these social mediums. I have the most, you know, in-depth conversations without ever speaking to people, without ever, yeah, it's crazy.
I think we've been forced to very seriously reevaluate what we define as real. I mean, that's an
Yeah.
understatement, especially considering what we talk about on all the time.
And human connection with all this distancing. Yeah,
But
we're kind of.
even with the Twitter stuff, I mean,
Mhm.
I used to look at it like, man, I shouldn't spend so much time on this stuff because I look like you know, whatever. But but why should you be embarrassed about something that is actually more real than what people like call real life? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Another part of the Great Reset that could be again reset of the mind. So some people reset to the new program, and others reset back to the original
Great point.
state.
That's really interesting. That's like that's, you know, that makes it, it's kind of like Westworld. You know, it's like the program is like you just start over every day. They kind of start at square one and they don't remember anything. You know, when we look back on this time, when we look back on 2020, let's say 20 years from now, and we've kind of kicked around this idea, but what are they going to talk about? How are they going to remember this time? Are we going to be able to make an impact or wave that will keep protect the future somehow from this deception, you know? Because if not, in 20 or 50 years, the history books are going to write about COVID as the worst global pandemic ever. You know, they're going to write about it like they did the 19, you know, the Spanish flu.
Yeah, they'll be learning about it in school, the kids, in 20 years' time, and they will only see the textbooks and the pictures of
Masks,
graveyards and
all the
stuff.
bad pictures, all of the very loosey imagery, which is the only thing that gets shaken out through history. The only thing that seems to make it through the, you know,
The censors, make it through the
the
censors.
censors,
And you'll
exactly.
give
It's just
someone's
illusionary.
personal account of a story, won't they, as well? You'll
Yeah.
learn about a character that during coronavirus, what they went through, and it'll be their story.
Yes. We'll be given an Anne Frank of coronavirus. Guarantee you. Some just like Anne Frank represents the entire Holocaust. She was a character to continue the introduction of this entire universe, the universe of this whole World War II theater. She was a character created to continue that through time, to guarantee that school children would be introduced to this thing through this character. That's my take on Anne Frank. And even her name, Frank, which means the truth, which I think is an inversion, or not Frank, it doesn't mean the truth, it just means direct. But anyway. And Anne means not. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Anne Frank means not truthful or not direct. Anne is an anti, Frank is an director. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry.
That's good. That's good.
I just human vibrationed myself.
That's so
I'm gonna need a
weird.
minute.
That's so weird. You know, I was about to say you out human vibration yourself, and then you just said that. Serious.
Ooh.
Not
Y'all, we're
making that up.
vibing. We're
Not making that up.
vibing. We're vibing. Well, I think this is as good a time as any to take a quick break.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right, this is good. Let's lighten it up. Let's lighten it up on the next half, y'all. This has been fun though. This has been fun. Okay, we'll be right back. Feeling great. I love that it's Friday. I love Fridays.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, a nice chilled out night tonight, and I'm on the Wrong Walk podcast on Sunday.
Oh, you're gonna record with the Wrong
Looking
Walk?
forward to that. Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be great. He is great. He asked some really good questions.
Because I had to cancel last week, and I said to him, "I bet by the end of next week we've got a good psyop to talk about."
Yeah.
And then there it is.
You have multiples. You have multiples.
It came off. But George Floyd one's staying with me at the minute. Is that what's going to happen when they say the policeman is not guilty of anything?
Riots.
Because that's what I feel is coming. Is that
yeah.
Yeah, that's what they feel like they're heading with that, and then they drop in the royal family race thing. It's the big racial pot being stirred. It could be.
Right. Yes, exactly. With Megan, and that's, I mean,
It's there. It's there. It's
it's
been
there.
set up into it. I can just. It's something that's standing out to me in the background of this new video evidence now. It's like they're planting the seed that he's not done it. He's going to get away with it, and the
I feel that too. I
it'll
definitely
be
feel
those
that. I definitely feel that.
Andy and Go riots though, where it's all fake and they're not. There's nobody actually out rioting.
Yes, we're going to see a bunch of TikTok riots. We're going to see a bunch of TikTok. I think it's going to be very similar to what happened during the Black Lives Matter riot and protests. I feel like they shut things down. Cities were really shut down and blockaded. And where they had the most violence, it was places that the public really couldn't go. You know, they all, like a lot of the Antifa violence back then, it was all manufactured.
And then you wonder, you don't know anybody who actually knows anybody who attended one of these
Right.
riots.
But the
or
public
is a
can get
BLM
just
protest.
close enough. I met someone recently who had a friend who was in DC on the Capitol, on the January 6th insurgents, but they didn't get in. You know, they weren't one of the ones that went in. And I was like, well, you know, I bet the public can get just close enough, you know, to feel like they're part of it, but they'll never be on the inside. And that actually reminds me of, speaking of the royal family and the royal family weddings and deaths, and, you know, when Diana died, I mean, I feel like there's all these events where you seem to get close to the queen and she appears on TV to be shaking hands with people that are front row. But I bet the real public is never able to ever get close enough to actually see the queen.
And I think that goes for every member
Yeah.
member of the family. They've all got a double that we think is that person in public, and it goes back to them being like a cover for whatever's behind, and they're all the attention. Everybody knows who the royal family is.
And I don't think there's anything behind them. I think that that's the thing. I think not only does the emperor have no clothes, I think the emperor does not exist.
The guy behind the curtain, that's what I'm kind of feeling like.
Yes, a projection. So the whole, all of royalty, I believe that the major monarch that we have experienced, and we've been told through our storybooks and all through our fables, even as we talked earlier, even about the Egyptian monarch. I mean, that was like kings and queens of Egypt and rulers, and I feel like all of it is a construct to make us believe that there are these divinely ruling entities that from birth are deserved to be in these roles, and that's just the way it is, and there's nothing that we could do to question it because that's just the way it is. I feel like it's important that we get told that. It's important that we get told, well, that's just the way it is. You know, like, well, why is the royal family, what do they do? Like, what do they do? It's like, oh, well, nothing. They don't do anything anymore. And it's like, they don't have any role in parliament. They don't have any jurisdiction over really anything. But, well, why do we still have them? Oh, it's symbolic. Yeah, it's sim something. It's simulated.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a sim. You got that sim part right. Yeah, I've got it. Weird. Very strange. I love it though. I love how loosey and fun it is, and celebrity gossipy.
They're an ongoing reality TV show like the Kardashians, aren't they?
Diana was fascinating. I mean, I've been looking at pictures of Diana more and more because we talked about it on a previous podcast, and she really is. She was designed to just be that doe-eyed, innocent, just thing of beauty, ethereal love and beauty. But she was also throwing herself down the stairs trying to kill her child. Like there's these weird dichotomy stories.
With everything I see with Diana, every comment about that always seems to be that, oh, she was going to tell on them all, or she was about to.
She's going to expose them. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you get when you point any of these things out,
Right. And also the Muslim element that she was supposedly pregnant with a child, with a Muslim baby. And for some reason, that would be like the biggest no-no the royal family had ever seen, even though there would be absolutely no claim to the royal throne because she's
And
not in success, which was like the weirdest
again,
thing.
it's the same as the Meghan and Harry thing, though. It's a
Right.
template of the whole thing. Talking about templates, they have a template for a suicide, a terrorist, don't they, really? And the template is just an Asian guy with a big beard on every single time. That's what they do. It's
Dark skinned. Oh
yeah,
no.
with a big beard, and that's your terrorist. It's a template,
Dark skin, thick beard. Yeah.
subconscious mind image of a
Uh-huh.
terrorist.
Kind of to your point, but kind of changing gears. I remember when I took a fresh look at the 9/11 terrorists, when I actually looked back at all of their pictures again, it was like it was weird how obviously digital they were, how obviously unreal their faces were. Like noticeably bad, noticeably unreal. All of them had like just weird anomalies. Some of their eyes were pointing in different directions. Like there were some weird glitches in the matrix that day. Like with
Yeah, and didn't he use like James Woods in that story?
yes, he was a big part. And whatever happened to him? Did
Yeah,
he
he's
die?
kind of vanished off Twitter. I
Oh
mean, he used
yeah,
to be
he got
all
kicked
over.
off Twitter. He got famously kicked off Twitter, but I can't remember.
He was about to get on the 9/11 plane, or he's
Oh,
seen
that's
the
right.
terrorists, or
Okay.
something like that.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Also, Seth MacFarlane was supposed to be on a 9/11 plane that morning. Also, what's his name? Marky Mark. What's his name?
Yeah. Oh,
What's
I
his
know
name?
what you
Mark
mean, Marky
Wahlberg.
Mark.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Marky Mark. Yes, he was also supposed to be on a plane.
It just makes it all real, doesn't it? It
Yeah, it
really
makes it
does.
seemingly all real.
But I remember when, like, James Wood, speaking of him, he was really big on Twitter, wasn't he? And he was like
Huge
really
with
popular. I don't know
Trump.
if he's probably on Gab now.
Was he a Republican truther? Was he like a QAnon truther?
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
so
yeah,
he
yeah.
dropped a few QAnon
About
like
Hillary,
things.
right? I feel like he did a
Yeah,
lot of stuff about Anthony Bourdain. We talked about that last episode. I feel like James Woods, yeah, around that time he
and
was
everyone forgetting that he's actually a Hollywood actor. Do you know, that's the thing
totally,
that's forgotten.
yeah. And he made
But
it. Speaking of Seth MacFarlane as well, James Woods and Seth MacFarlane are connected because James Wood had that role on Family Guy. That was a big part of it. Family Guy's, Seth MacFarlane's, breakout
yeah. And
show.
there's a
And
few
he looks like
things
he's
in that,
wearing a
like,
mask. Seth MacFarlane
yeah,
always looks like he's wearing a mask,
definitely.
but a character. What a weird looking guy.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a guy, I'm trying to think of his name, and he's 100% wearing a mask. He's like a governor or something in America.
Oh, look who it is. Hey, Murph.
So,
We were just talking about our favorite subject, men in masks.
oh,
Here's something what do you guys think? I done a post the other day about Joe Biden next to a mask, and then I got a comment about, no, they're all clones, and everyone was like, oh yeah, they're all clones. What do you guys think of clones?
I think everything we are told about cloning technology and also gene editing technology like CRISPR, I kind of all put it in the same category of science fiction. I think the human spark and the human experience is actually quite special. And I think that the most they can do is take an egg out of the body and a sperm out of the body and make a baby that way. I don't believe we can mess with what makes humans human.
I'm
And
with you on that
I
one.
just
I
don't
don't
think we
think we
can.
can.
And I think they want us to believe we can be recreated and recalibrated and all this stuff with CRISPR. And I I think that there's a lot of misinformation. I think just it's a lot of it science fiction.
Yeah, all this cloning of sheep and stuff, they're telling us that so we can then believe, well, yeah, they can clone sheep or they can clone dogs and stuff like that. And a lot of animals are man-made, as we know. So, like, that's where I said last week, is the monkey the closest they could get?
Well, that is interesting if they were able to create. I mean, what if a monkey is a man and a bear? Oh my god! I don't know what.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, we're delete.
very, very weird image.
It could
Very
well
weird
be.
image.
Delete all of next.
What if a monkey?
Nope. No.
It almost worked.
Okay. All right. Starting back up. Where were we? And we're not starting back up with man, monkey, and bear. To your point, back to whatever point we were trying to make. Rambo, I think you're right.
That about cloning animals and like having the power to clone.
I think it's a mixing of. I think that just like flowers, we get new species of flowers by mixing mixing existing flowers with other flowers. Like we can cross pollinate. I think cross pollination with like enough kind is totally doable. I don't believe this splicing and dicing and creation from I just don't believe that's all. I think
They
that's a lot
don't need to do it, I don't think. And there's more, they can do more with the screen. Digital clone, can't they, really? That's all they need, really. And as we say, the digital clone and then an actor to go and play the part. I think that they have a base character that is the actor in his prosthetics, and they have a digital character based on that. So then he only goes out to public, meets the public, shakes hands or whatever, and that's it. And the rest of the manipulation and their life is shown to us on the screen, nowhere else. We don't meet these people every day, only on the planned appearances.
Hey, that goes to people are like, oh, I saw Bill Gates at a company picnic in 1994. You know, there's always that.
There's a photo recently circulating on Twitter where Bill Gates, it appears to be that he's standing outside of an inner city 7-Eleven.
Oh boy.
By himself.
You're right. Everyday Bill. Oh man.
By himself at midnight.
With a Slurpee.
And people posted it, and I think I commented and just said, you realize that a billionaire doesn't kind of travel by himself like this and just hangs out like in front of a 7-Eleven
at midnight.
Yeah,
Which,
like,
yeah.
And it's funny.
Oh, boy.
No, yeah, I said not to mention the fact that he probably doesn't even exist in the first place.
Right. Not to mention, yeah.
Do whatever they want with these people. Like, why would they need to clone anybody? Like, I don't think they would. I don't think they can, and I don't think they would need to. Yeah, and they give them like certain things where it's just mockery. Like, for instance, with Bill Gates now, if you type in any search engine, who is the most powerful doctor, and it comes up with Bill Gates.
Right. You know, that's
not at all.
Obviously it's far.
But that's the entire.
It doesn't even exist.
Yeah, but that's the punchline of the whole pandemic, isn't it?
Not a doctor.
That's the punchline, right?
The whole punchline of the pandemic is yes, a virus that is non-existent, a virus that is non-threatening. You know, whether viruses are even a thing. That's a question. We opened the show with a talk about Prince Philip and his infamous quote about if he were to be reincarnated, he would come back as a contagious virus so that he could save the world of its overpopulation issues or whatever bullshit quote is attributed to him. Lushy, very lushy. The thing is, the joke there, the punchline there is, you know, if you really get into virus study and viral germ theory and virus theory, viruses don't exist either. You know, it's like, so of course this non-existent character, Prince Philip, quote unquote, would want to come back as a virus, another non-existent character, to do this thing that can't be done. They can only deceive us. Their best, when I say they, it's whoever, the man behind the curtain, the magician, the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, projecting this grand power structure onto us that we believe is a grand power structure when really it's just a little guy behind the curtain. You know, that's all they want us to believe. They just want us to believe in all these. It's Oz. We're living in Oz. We're living in and I feel like we got to have some little. Toto needs to just come save us like immediately and pull back that curtain. We need to get Toto stat. You know, that's who actually he gets uncredited. Toto the dog is uncredited for breaking the Matrix. It's not Dorothy. It's not Tin Man. It's not the Lion. It's not any of them. It's not the little witch. It's not the flying monkeys. Whatever. It's not even the good witch who floats in on a magenta orb. You know, it's the little dog that pulls back the curtain and reveals that this whole thing is an illusion. And I kind of think that that is happening with everything.
I think we're living in it. Yeah, definitely. We're living in the Wizard of Oz right now.
It's weird.
But whose illusion is it? It's Dorothy's illusion. The little man behind the screen is inside her head. Not an external.
Right.
Not an external.
100%.
It's not an external they. It's an internal they. The whole thing is like it's like a psychodrama of somebody having a hallucination, but it not really happening. There's no external they. The dog is her buddy. The dog is the one that does it for her.
Is the dog the architect? Is the Wizard of Oz the prequel to Inception? And it's a dream within a dream within a dream, and and it's Dorothy's dream, and little Toto is there to, like, as the totem. Oh my God, that's what it's called. It's called a totem in the dream, the little thing that you keep with you to tether you to reality. Okay, that's weird.
And with it as well,
All
they
right,
had the color thing. Was it like the first movie they used
Technicolor.
that Technicolor? Yeah.
Technicolor. Oh, and this is the most interesting thing: is Dorothy's dress was not white and blue checkerboard. It was blue and pink, and her shoes were not ruby; they were silver. And every bit of recolorization happened because they were introducing this new technology called Technicolor, and it messed with actual color. It actually fucked with the way color actually looked. And so in order to achieve this Technicolor dream of these ruby red slippers and this checkerboard dress that she had, this checker print blue and white dress, they had to actually use different color. Her dress was actually pink, which is, again, the nexus of illusion, a shade of purple, line of purples, blah, 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 hashtag human vibration. God, I get so lost in these things. Long story short, it's all an illusion. Her shoes weren't even red, they were silver. And it was all a manipulation of light through this process. I think it's so interesting. And you don't learn this stuff until way later. You know, if you only learn it if you decide to and choose to. It's kind of crazy.
But remember, about six months ago, the Wizard of Oz was an allegory for the establishment of the Federal Reserve System.
Oh, that's right.
Remember that? At least that was the way that it was interpreted on Twitter.
In a way, it's true, because I think I think everything that operates on the federal level is a construct of a thing, is a simulacra, is a simulation of a thing. I don't think the federal government really exists. I think it's a simulation of a government structure. And then I think everything happens on like the municipal level, like the state and local level.
Well, because it's a concept.
Programs. It's a concept. Yeah,
it's not an organic existence. It's not. It's supposed to be a simulation. It's supposed to be, as much of as closest to people taking it seriously as it possibly can. But there's no reality to any of these things. They're not people.
Yeah.
They don't have intelligence themselves.
They tell us companies are people. That remember when corporations became people, like in the early. There was some major ruling where corporations became people.
Dred Scott.
Yes, the Dred Scott, and actually the word corpse is body, human corpse, corporation, the body. There's something there. It was always going to be. There was always going to be that ruling. It was just a matter of time, and then they finally told us the truth. And then I think that corporations, we talk about simulations. I think that through these corporate companies are people too. They tell us that. They literally had that phrase. And that goes to how these false identities are created and introduced into the world through these corporations, these corporate structures, to allow for, a legal person versus a natural person, a straw man, all these legal loopholes that allow you to create a character structure. Really interesting what our legal system and our so-called justice system allows us to do.
Did you see on Easter Sunday, I've done a couple of Jesus posts.
I'm glad you did. I jumped in there a little bit.
Yeah, people did something like it. Some did.
Yeah, I liked it. My Maria shared some of your stuff.
Yeah,
it was a good conversation.
I turned on the TV for some reason, and it was just all about the Jesus. It's Jesus' day and all this stuff, and I thought like it's just being pushed on TV all the time, and I just thought I've had a couple of thoughts on it. I thought Easter Sunday would be the day to get it off his chest, really. Like, as in, like, if these people are so evil and after us and stuff, why would they give us public holidays for Jesus if it was good?
Yeah. What is the purpose of these holidays? Yeah. Feels like energy collection.
If these people that are running us are evil, why are they giving us days off, public holidays for the Jesus, which everyone, even in the conspiracy world, loves as well, you know, and swears by this and stuff. But it depends what people think Jesus was. So do they think it was a person?
I still go back to Loosh. That's my guiding light. That's like my
I
north
think
star.
it's basically just
Like
a book
energy.
that's been put out in to hide the truth.
Hides the truth. Anyway, it kind of goes back. I think the entire story of the resurrection of Jesus, and talk about someone who defied a lockdown. I love it. I love that joke. I think that's the best part. I love it. But I think that there is something about the story of Jesus. It gives us the original sin concept, like Jesus died for our sins, which makes us feel like, but we're both like born to be sinners. It's going back to like that we can't equalize ourselves. We can't find salvation through ourselves. We have to have this character, Jesus Christ, who died this extraordinarily looshy death and was nailed to the cross and wore a crown of thorns and was bleeding from his eyes and every major blood.
And they give
That's
us
just
an image of it as well, though, don't they? They give us the image, and
yes.
that's it. It's in your subconscious, the image of Jesus.
I feel like the church representation, the biblical representation of Jesus and the church representation of Jesus. I walked into many churches as a kid and saw Jesus hanging on the cross, like naked. Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't
It's
know how
weird.
anyone can't see how that is something that's been put in front of us and presented to us, like ahead of a creator or whatever there may be. They've put that in front.
I believe deeply in a creator. I believe in a designer, a creator. I believe that this world is incredible, and so there's something outside of me that is responsible for this. I believe that deeply. But I also, from where I stand now, I've world religion has just never sat right with me. It's just never. It's been one of those misaligned, uncomprehendable. I was just never able to because the biggest thing is how if we go to hell if we're not right. If that is an absolute fact, we die. We go to hell if we're not right about this. And there's so many world religions, that means so many people are going to hell just because they chose wrong or because they were born into the wrong family and never had a chance to choose the other way. you know I was like, if you have to go to heaven only through declaring Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, if that is your only route into what we understand as heaven, then how can, again, we talked about this last time, what happens to people that were born before Jesus? Who did they pray to? Who did they ask salvation from? Who got rid of their original sin? Because we know they were messing up. We know that all sorts of shit was going on, but that's if we believe history is real, which I don't. Anyway, but back to it, like, I feel like all these stories, it's just these mind prisons. I always had this inclination that world religion was more of a mind control and just thought control and population
And
control
it's
and idea
division as well, isn't it? All the
vision.
division it causes by keeping it all similar,
Yeah,
but not. And everyone always talks, oh, there's truths in
yeah.
the Bible and stuff. But what is it's because it's scripted. Again, I've said this before, but it's because it's a
Mhm.
scripture and they're playing it out so it looks like it's happening.
Scripture,
Yeah.
script. I
So
am
it
very
looks like it's
struck.
happening.
I'm very struck, though. You just said those words. I'm very struck whenever I read the Bible that it's inhuman. It's inhumanly spoken. It sounds like computer code. It sounds like a computer spit out the Bible. It doesn't sound like it's not good writing, It's not good flowy writing. It's stilted, it's repetitive, quite repetitive, oddly repetitive. It's like, we get it, you're God. Okay. move on, every page is like, I am God. It's like, okay, we got it. Let's next. Yeah. I feel like, when you say script, that reminds me of just a computer script. A line of computer code is called scripture. I think that there's maybe a hint there that these religious texts are more
computer code. It's just
boy.
printed off a computer.
Yeah, or just AI based and not true. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of wild, but the word script and scripture and I don't know. There's something there. I can't let it go. I had to say it. Father, forgive me for where I have simmed. I had to. I absolutely had to. Okay.
What did you think about this the other day, actually? This Babe Ruth mainstream being said he was fake.
I love that. I saw that and shared it. So a sports writer, a blue checkmark sports writer, shared a video of Babe Ruth where you can't see the baseball. The baseball is not visible. It can be chalked up to camera frame rate. I saw a lot of people talking about the camera frame rate, but that's actually not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the manipulation of media throughout time, and I think that this is like, it kind of hit on this, and so this guy shares it and he's like, this doesn't ring true to me. I feel like this is manufactured footage. In so many words, he basically suggested not only that the footage was manufactured, but he went as far to say that Babe Ruth was a character.
Yeah, fictional character,
he said the word fictional character. And I thought that was an incredible leap from just saying, I can't see the baseball in this one frame, in this one video. I can see him swinging, but I don't see a baseball leaving the bat. I don't see a baseball hitting the bat. There's no baseball here. He just swung and ran around the bases.
I've seen the Black Pill podcast tweet out of like, now everything's fake is in the mainstream. What do we do now? Or something like that. And it's in the mainstream. That is making
it was a
fictional characters mainstream.
He's a real sports writer, and he wasn't being cheeky. He was really suggesting that this idol, Babe Ruth, could be a fictional character of some sort, a fabricated entity. And I think that there is a way to still have real athletes and real teams and real this and real that and real gameplay, but and I'm not quite sure how it's done, but I think that our biggest idols, our Kobe's, our Babe Ruths, yes, our Steph Curry's, our improbable idols that kind of come out of nowhere. That's something about Kobe Bryant, is his backstory is absolutely ridiculous. How little for someone who was supposed. Anyway, I'm not going to go on that tape. Anyway, try to find young pictures of Kobe Bryant. It's very difficult. Yeah, I think that we are given these characters that live they entwine. It's a vortex. These characters become vortices.
Do you think that they can fake a sports star? I feel like they can.
Yeah, I think they can. I think that I think that I think that because sports is a vortex, an energy vortex. We all kind of comprehend that, like people get really, really, really wrapped into their sports and their sports. And so I think that within these energetic vortices, to you, Murph, on your idea of vortices, I think entertainment and all forms of entertainment, especially sports, can be a vortice. But then they have these characters within it that like the vortex revolves around.
Michael Jordan.
In our politics in China has now been pinned on LeBron James because he made one comment about the way that the protests in China were being communicated by the media. Anyway.
And what do you think of that? We don't ever see much of Joe Biden. We don't really see him on the TV like we did. Trump was on every day, wasn't we? Seeing him everywhere. And then we don't really see the Biden. The only thing we do see of him, what they show us, is like something to laugh at or to make fun of, or suggest that he's wearing a mask. Really, that's all they do.
And they have been talking, to your point, Rambo, he's not seen, and they have been talking about how they don't give press, like it's been 180 days and there's been no press conference. I feel like we get a lot of those updates about how little is being done from a presidential standpoint.
Yeah, we've not seen much of him at all, and I think there's more to come from that as well, really.
His first week of office, he issued 33 executive orders.
Biden's first week of office, he had 30. Oh gosh. Well, sounds about right. Naturally, as one does. Your first week. That's interesting. What were they about? Like, you know, I feel okay. So everything that we get of him, he can't really string together a sentence. Like he can barely. They really seem to be ramping that rhetoric up. His instability within speech, right? Which is such a difference between Obama. Obama was known for his laser-like oratory skills. He was just an excellent speaker, almost hypnotic in a way. Had a and Biden really can't finish a sentence.
Again, I just think he's just digital again. Like and the Jim Carrey, we're looking at the Jim Carrey, aren't we?
Totally.
I feel like it's just he's got a complete digital character, and I think he's never been real. People think, oh, he died years ago or whatever, but I don't think he did. Like I've seen a few people, oh, he got knocked off years ago or he died years ago, but I think he's another one that's never really been real.
Yeah, people talk about his ears. I see that a lot. People are like, oh, his ears are different,
I feel like they do that on purpose. Or
yeah,
do
totally.
they do that on purpose? Because do they do that? Because if you say that to anybody in real life, they don't believe you, even if it looks obviously like a mask to you.
He does look different. I mean, there's no doubt. Which makes me think again, this is
the clone thing again,
Well, I think it's actor-based reality. I think
definitely.
I think over time, it's possible that multiple actors play the same character. And then those individual multiple actors will play various other characters, like a fractaling spider web over time. And so Michael Jackson will be played by multiple people over time. Sorry, as soon as that left my mouth, I knew that I had made a critical error. Quick, abort. A Jeffrey Epstein. No, I'm kidding.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, and these people, I believe that too. Like they're played by just the Hollywood actors we see are playing these characters. That's what I think.
I saw a really cool video the other day, and I've seen it before in the past, but it didn't really stick with me. And I saw it again the other day, and it reminded me. So there was this interview of Alec Baldwin. It was one of his appearances on David Letterman, and this is 1980s Alec Baldwin. He's got that slick back hair, those crystal blue eyes. He's like hot. He's hot shit. And then they do a side by side of a later appearance of John F. Kennedy Jr. and it's the same mannerisms. It's as if they just took that appearance, that first baseline appearance of Alec Baldwin, or just use Alec Baldwin again, and then overlaid the head of JFK Jr. onto Alec Baldwin as the base actor. I think I mean, it looked so similar that it was very difficult for me to believe. I mean, first, I already think that all of our talk about royalty, the Kennedys are American royalty with Camelot, that whole idea there. But I think the Kennedys are all like fabrications. And I think JFK Jr. died a Lucy death because he's a fabrication, potentially played by the base actor of Alec Baldwin or the base actor who plays Alec Baldwin.
Like with the JFK thing, that was kind of all coded as well, wasn't it? It was kind of coded for this time with the 17 and stuff, and the 17 miles offshore and 17 miles up.
I didn't even know that. Wait, what? Okay, so I know
the JFK Jr. plane.
Yes.
Was like crashed, went down off the radar, like 17 miles offshore from landing, and it was 17 miles up in the air. And
that's another reason why the Q community was so obsessed with JFK Jr. with all the 17s implanted. Oh, and the grave is a Q, right? His grave looks like a Q.
No,
this stuff has the gameplay. Golf clap to the Matrix, because this gameplay is exceptional. It's
the
crazy.
story's always being built though. So like we
Yeah.
think, oh yeah, that was ages ago. It did happen. It was ages ago, but that's all part of the finale for these people. Yeah.
Pre-designed. Maybe that's why golf is, because the golf courses are pre-designed. They pre-exist, but we still have to play them
Talking of
each
golf
time.
courses, we've still not seen Tiger Woods' leg, have we? Still not seen anything of that.
No, we still have no, we still haven't seen Tiger Woods post crash. And now they're kind of bringing that information back where he was going like twice the speed limit or something around a curve. He was going twice the speed limit, something he couldn't navigate the turn is the verbiage that they're using. He couldn't properly, he was going so an excessive speed to where he couldn't safely navigate the turn. And that makes me think about like a great reset. Like talk about navigating a turn. We're going through a very fast turn potentially, you know? And it was called Genesis. The car he was in was a fucking Genesis. Oh
Yeah, that even going back to
my
that
God.
is to me where the energy kind of changed to like you can feel like a build up, Joe, from then really,
Yeah.
of the beginning.
Yep. When was that? Hey, that was like one of our first episodes. Yeah. Let's go.
Are you guys experiencing time differently?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
A few months ago seems like a year ago to me.
Yes. It is both speeding up and also slowing down for me in some ways. It's kind of interesting. I have a new relationship with time and I'm enjoying it. I feel like it's both slipping away. Like all of a sudden, like we do these endeavors and I'm like, oh my gosh, we started this a month ago. It feels like just yesterday that we had our first conversation. So that is very real. It feels like lightning fast. But also I feel like I've been being more mindful. I've been being more mindful in each day. And I feel like that slows down the clock for me. When I keep checking in with myself and my reality, like I keep checking into this dream to make sure I'm awake, you know? I keep doing that and I'm like standing in time. I'm standing still in time more often than I ever have. And it kind of makes the moment to moment seem slower, but yeah, in aggregate, it's whiplash for sure. It's going pretty fast. I don't know.
You have great fleets.
Yeah. You do too. You have great fleets, Murph. I love seeing Brooklyn through your fleets.
I take pride in my fleets.
Your fleets are amazing. I feel like I get to see the city. I love New York City. There's something so magical. It's an energetic, it's a vortices. New York City is kind of a vortex. It's a vortex.
In New York Harbor, there's remnants, if not still standing of three separate star forts.
What's a star? I've heard the term star fort. I feel like I at one point kind of knew what a star fort was, but what is a star fort?
Star forts are these structures that are literally all over the world,
Mhm.
and I think the current listing of ones that have been uh, uh, observed and tracked are not tracked because they don't move, obviously. At 1,700 worldwide.
Don't they say there's one on like the bottom of the Statue of Liberty? Is that?
Oh wow.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
The Statue of Liberty, the base of the Statue of Liberty is in an octagonal. I think it's octagonal, eight-sided star.
Yeah.
It's a small version of it, but historically, what was actually on the island, on Liberty Island, there was a real star fort there, and I think it was taken down in like 1920s maybe, or like it's something around the early 20th century or something. But there's also one in downtown Manhattan. But basically, a harbor is a vortex.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two rivers coming together. You create. I mean, that's the reason why the World Trade Center is here.
Yes. And you were talking about it earlier with what we still don't really understand the process between water and vapor. There's a lot of mysteries that go into the processes of water. And water is so energetically powerful and the harbor is shaped to basically create that natural swirling as the water comes in on one side, it swirls around the harbor and exits the other side. It just creates the New York harbor could be like taking all of our energy out to sea, you know?
Well,
Or
or could look at the other way. The way that I'm looking at it is that it's actually feeding us, and we're not feeding it; it's feeding us.
ooh, okay. I like that better. Much better, actually. Hmm. Hmm.
That's the reason why people have this kind of like this strange sensation when they're in New York City. It's not just because of the big buildings.
Day, night. It's a city that never sleeps. Maybe that's why they call it that, because it really doesn't. At 4 in the morning, you feel that same buzz that you do at 12 in the afternoon. It's
There,
alive.
there wouldn't be the human vibration if there wasn't the Earth to give the humans the energy.
So
So,
true.
so if an area, I mean, I think that's why you have these population clusters. Like you have population clusters on the coasts.
Yes. They want people close to the ocean. Interesting. It's like almost like we're energizing the water itself through our actions.
It's a symbiotic relationship between the two.
Has to be. And we're said to be made of what, 80% water, they say, or whatever the statistic is.
Well,
Surprised it's not 33%.
we look there's water underground,
Yeah.
and then the air above ground is also water, and
Uh-huh.
then we're 80% water. So there's really not much that's not water.
Right. Osmosis. Okay, so you know the concept of osmosis, where you can absorb, where water always finds its balance. It will equalize always. It will find its blissful medium, and it will come in and out of any system to find an equilibrium. But that, like, do you think that information can be osmotic or be absorbed through osmosis? Like, just how earlier you were literally about to say what I was about to say. Like, we kind of came to like this almost like crossroad point of like having the same thought at the very same time. Was that a form of informational or intellectual osmosis? What is that?
Our thoughts aren't inside of our head.
Right. I think you're right. I think our brains we're radio heads, and our
Yeah.
thoughts are just outside of our heads and outside of us, and everything's kind of just outside of us, and we're just these receivers, these transmitters, these bioorganic advanced machines, advanced computing machines. Yeah.
Gray Tonka had a good comment today. I think when the issue when the man, the sports writer, posted about the Babe Ruth issue,
Uh-huh.
a lot of people were saying, "Oh, we're going mainstream or whatever," and
It
then
did feel it did feel like that.
some people were saying like, "Oh, this isn't a good thing because it's a check mark, and it kind of destroys the credibility or whatever." And I said, "You know what? So we got to stop this nonsense. I mean, if human vibration or somebody or anybody, gets a check mark tomorrow, do they automatically become a shill because of that? And everything that they say is invalidated? I mean, that kind of shoots yourself in the foot and kind of guarantees you to be a fringe movement forever. But if we want to not be a fringe movement forever, we got to get away from that.
Mhm.
I have it the same way. You look at something, you look at it, you look at something automatically kind of circumspect. But I have a friend who's actually a check mark, and I know he's a real person, not a show. He's not. But then again, he's not like a truther.
Right.
But I think I brought it up because you were talking about like the medium and everything like that. Can you guys sense a difference between when you had like 1,000 followers and when you have today like 22,000?
The community is different. I feel like the community has been growing, and I love being a part of this community, and it continues to grow. And I feel like the voice, like our friends, quote unquote, but I feel like as far as people just reaching out that wouldn't be considered like in the community, just random people that reach out with questions and stuff. And then I talk to in the DMs, but I mean, there's people that I have really robust DM conversations with that I've never had a public facing tweet comment with, but they will tell me, "Hey, I follow your stuff, but I don't want to comment on your stuff, but I have questions." And so I feel like that the spirit of that is the same for me from actually really from always. I don't think this. I feel like, yeah, I feel like I don't think I've seen a change in that. What I have seen and experienced, and what I love, the change that I love, is the community growing around these new ideas. And I mean, just the amount of podcasts I can listen to that kind of touch on these types of thought experiments and these ways of looking there's so many more. There's so many more options, and
It's definitely a growing
growing.
thing, isn't it? Definitely, which is a positive.
Yeah. What do you? I mean, I'm curious why you asked. I mean, maybe I'm just like naive, but I feel like the spirit of it has stayed the same, and I like that. I don't feel like it's different now that I'm quote unquote bigger. Like I haven't seen a shift. Not even in the shift of dialogue. I feel like it's all the same. I'm
No,
still talking about the same old shit. Yeah.
I didn't mean it in a way that, like, that the quality of your interactions changed or diminished. That's not what I'm trying to mean at all. It was changed, like almost like you can almost like through these technological devices, like you were saying before.
Mhm.
In my mind, I was about to say that you out human vibration yourself, and you said it yourself, right? And it's like
the synchronicities with people, and you kind of introduced this to me too with the 33s, and I'm getting a lot of people that are showing me the synchronicities now. So I would say that it's almost ramped up my ability to connect with people through this anonymous medium.
But the interesting thing that Great Tonka said, because I said that anyone who says that people say, oh, followers, I don't care how many followers I have, you know what I mean? It doesn't make a difference, I mean, but they're full of shit. To have, to be interacting with so many people all at once, you can feel their energy.
Yeah.
And Great Tonka said that it comes through the phones. It comes through our devices, even when even when we're not touching them. And I'm like, because I sometimes when I'm holding my phone, and like the juices are flowing, and everybody's all gelling together, I can feel it.
When the group is hot, like I get into that too. I get into the flow too when everyone's sharing, and I get inspired. And sometimes I wake up very inspired. I love it.
Positive feedback loops.
Which is which is what we don't have. We're not really taught to build each other up in a true way. We're taught to compete, and we're taught to like always measure ourselves against each other. We're not really taught to celebrate the uniqueness within each other. We're taught to always like try to compete to be the best of like a very specific narrow thing. We're never taught to be like the farthest flung seed and just be good at that, like you do you and be great at it. We're never taught that. We're taught like you should do this with everyone else and everyone has to be great, and it's like, no, conformity, uniformity is celebrated over uniqueness. And I think that is something that's, I mean, talk about, zombie army. Yeah.
But it's not, though. But at the same time, it's not. The people that society holds in great esteem aren't the people who conform. They're the ones that actually don't. It's like the people that, like, the reason why royalty fascinates us is because, while at the same time everybody will say, oh, these royals are fake and a bunch of bullshit and everything like that, secretly we envy them because everybody wants the comfort. I mean, only a fool would say, no, I don't want the $1 billion. I don't want $100 million. Only a fool would refuse a life of luxury and things like that. I mean, that's just human nature. People crave comfort. So at the same time that we hate them, despise them, we secretly want to be them.
Do you think that that's why is that another reason that the royal family, talking about drinking out of gold chalices and dripped in diamonds? So yeah, so is the royal family is that just another way to reinforce this adoration and ideation and idolatry of materialistic things and just give us someone
A lot of people really would drink out of gold chalices if they could.
If they could. Trump had golden toilets. Yeah, we talked about that. They paint these pictures. Like, who would want that?
Money is power, so they're giving them power. That they've got all the money, so they've got all the power. That's how they kind of portray it. I think money is power.
What's interesting about gold? Gold is less useful and less energy conductive than silver. But somehow gold is we're told gold is the color of royalty, like gold crowns and stuff. It's useless. It's heavy. It's not energy conductive. It's like, okay, the idea, even in rappers, the idea of a gold chain. Like, if the gold chain's just perceived value, there's no good in it. It's just weighing you down. It's just weighing you down. It's literally, you're in chains with, it's weird. I don't know. There's something there. And then the gold crown, like weighing down your head, like it's unnecessarily heavy. And then the jewels, also the diamond trade, the whole idea of diamonds, the whole idea, it's a manufactured scarcity, just like oil, just like fossil fuels. It's a manufactured market, it's a manufactured scarcity, but a singular monopoly, De Beers, on who owns the diamond market.
But
And
they tell you about lab-made diamonds, and you can just look that up, and they tell you you can't even tell the difference between one of them and a real diamond. They actually tell you that.
everything's fake, y'all.
Everything's fake.
Everything's fake.
Everything's fake. No, we live in a very real world. There are very real things. It's just upside down on how things are presented. The things that we are told are important and valuable are not. And the things that we are told that are less than and invaluable probably are important, you know? I feel like discovering what is real in this very real world, but through an unreal, it's like, yeah, it's just really,
It's just whatever. I'd say
boy.
whatever's not through your screen. Anything through your screen is not real. If
I'm
you
with
weren't
you.
there, it's not real. It's not part of your reality.
I think we, and I think everyone, a lot of other people are faced with a weird conundrum that nobody's really dealt with before. Is that, you know, we went through this kind of situation, and for lack of a better word, we're more in tune with things. You know, I don't like to use awake because it means other people are asleep, which is not really, you know, in a lot of ways, I'm still kind of stupid and silly, so I don't want to walk around like I'm unenlightened about anything, right?
You're lighthearted, light of heart.
You have to be.
You have to be.
But if you know, like, it's one thing to get awake or, you know, in tune, but then the question is, what's next? You know, what do you do with that? What do you do?
You've got to think of the world how you want it to be, really, don't you? And collectively, it can spread.
No, but I'm just saying that sometimes that forces great change in people.
Yeah, definitely.
You could have a spouse that's completely, you know, in the old way of old prism of looking at things, and is looking at the world that has a completely different world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's happening all over the world right now.
Yeah. It is difficult, and there will be relationships and friendships that wither under the strain, that wither on the vine. And I think that that's just a natural part of this process. I'm experiencing that now. I have experienced I was in a beautiful life for many years. But it was beautiful on the surface, and it never fulfilled me internally. But I never believed that I could. It wasn't until 2020 that I was able to connect what I believed in my heart with what I knew in my head, and what I knew in my head was misguided, but what I believed in my heart was always true. But I would never let myself align my heart and my head, and it took 2020, a personal great awakening. It really took the weirdness of 2020 to really help me see that this disalignment of my
2020 vision on your life.
Yeah, 2020 vision on everything. Yeah, 2020 is when I woke up. January 8th of 2020 is the day that I wrote
full really woke up, not the fake awakening, but the real.
Yeah. And I think, when we talk about Q and we talk about needles in the haystack, maybe the whole idea of the Great Awakening, and you guys both talked about this, but yeah, there was like a fake, like a Great Awakening label, because they had to tell us that we were going through this process, and they kind of had to bastardize it. They had to give this real thing. They had to put this real label on something that was a misappropriation of it, which was a falsification of it. But in reality, there really is a Great Awakening happening. It's just not connected to Pedo Island, to Pizzagate.
You know who did a good thread? The guy with the numbers in his name. The really sweet guy, who has a really
Oh,
great
yes, with about the
breastplate.
okay, the Kansas City sports guy.
Yeah, I don't know his name because there's really not a name in the profile thing. So I just,
Rock chalk pong.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean that was beautiful. That
His
was really,
awakening is inspired. His awakening inspires me.
to tell you the truth, that guy encapsulates the spirit of what we talk about, I think, better than anybody combined. He speaks about kind of, what he sees as kind of the next step here. And when I think of anything, I think that he's a great example of somebody who actually has thought about like what the what's next part, because it's really easy to kind of sit back on your laurels, like realizing like, oh, like, I'm so smart, I know that all this stuff's fake, and I'm not going to get involved in it or whatever, but and have a superiority complex because of that, and miss and miss out on taking it someplace better. And so what I'm saying is that it's easy to become jaded. It's easy to like, everything's fake, nothing's real, everything's so uncool, everything's a psyop and things like that. And this guy's like, I think he sees the true purpose of the psyop, maybe.
Yeah.
I think though, and a lot of people kind of, I saw that when I read that thread, I knew where the thread came from, because on some other thread, he commented on the vaccine being a boogeyman, right? And he was gang stalked after that, and like 10 people, I think someone came in and said, "Well, are you going to take the vaccine?" And like that's the loaded question that everybody has. Like, oh, if you think that, and he came back balls to the wall, and he's like, "Gonna take it? I've already taken it, and I'm not afraid of anything. And your problem is you're full of fear, and all the crap, everything that's in your head is like stuff that was given to you, but yet you like think you researched this and figured it out, whatever." But it was great though, and I think in a weird way, I think people have to be careful, because there's people out there who maybe because of their job of employment, like they need to do it, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yes.
almost like where people are when I see people posting about the dangers of it, like, oh, like all the people who got vaccinated, do you realize how stupid what it was you did? It's dangerous, because there's people who are going to read that and maybe like have the nocebo effect, because they just got vaxxed. Like if I got vaxxed like yesterday and then wake up today and go to Twitter and look at these things, I'll bug out.
Yeah.
So like it's a very weird kind of line that people like walking right now.
You're right. I think that was the most positive thing that he could share is, yes, I did this, but no, I am not fearful, and here's exactly why. And you shouldn't be either. And because you are filled with fear, that could be more harmful to you than anything else. Fear is the most stress. Stress is toxic, and fear triggers our stress response. Fear and stress are really go hand in hand. It's very difficult to have a fear without a cortisol spike in your body. It's basically our stress hormone. So you think about stress and anxiety and fear, and I mean that's COVID, and that's the vaccine. And we talked about, the next stage of the vaccine is going to be these stories of people with blood clots and purple legs and dying of the vaccine. And DMX just had the vaccine and he died. And, oh gosh, I feel like
We're going to have more to come soon. I think by next week we'll have a whole lot more with the vaccine, definitely.
yeah.
But you know what, they talk about this, but where are all the bodies?
Yeah, there is none.
That is a famous not Spam-A-Lot. What is it? The Monty Python. That's a famous Monty Python bit. Bring out your dead. Show us your dead. Show us your dead. And they're going through the town, demanding to see the dead bodies, because they're basically suggesting, without suggesting it, that there are no dead bodies, that nobody died. And so
the skit is brilliant, because it's basically saying that the Black Plague and all this stuff is all a bunch of bullshit.
They were calling bullshit on the Black Plague 100%. That is the truth in plain sight of that infamous Monty Python skit. Even the phrase "show us your dead." It's either bring out your dead or show us your dead. I can hear it, and I can
Oh, show us your dead, I think.
show us your dead. Yeah. I even see that GIF
Bring
getting.
out. Because,
Yeah.
because they're putting it
I
on the truck, not the truck. You know.
Yeah, they're on the little cart, like the cart, and they're like moving around to pick up the dead bodies because that's the job. But there are no dead bodies. There are no dead bodies.
OG U-Haul.
U-Haul, like a person.
Whoa, look at that. Be careful what you say around human vibration.
I will not let one pun slip past.
You can't let one pun go to waste.
Slip
Yeah.
past my gate. Yeah. No, sir. No, sirree. I love a good pun. That's one thing that I did on the Matrix Assassin show. Like I did like 7 dad jokes. But yeah, I feel like puns are my
Strong point.
yeah, my proficiency. I'm proficient in puns.
That's like alliteration there.
Sure
Puns are my
is.
proficiency. I like that. Plenty of punch to your pun.
Yes, yeah, got quite the. Oh God, the
Show me a pun. Show me a pun.
There's a punctuation joke in there, but anyway, this has been fun. This was a good one, guys.
At least we entertained ourselves.
We always do.
Maybe a few other people might be entertained.
Episode 5, I listened to it 3 times. I love listening to us. I had a blast. I was laughing at the pan. Anytime we bring up pandas.
We can leave people with the thought of a monkey and a man and a bear.
Oh no, now I can't edit that out. Now I have to leave. Now I have to keep that unsavory bit in. Oh no. Oh no.
The monkey and the bear.
And now that's gonna have to be the title of the episode. Oh boy. A monkey, a man, and a bear walk into a bar. I don't know. All right, guys. A bright spot on my week. Friday is a shining star on my week. Thanks again, guys. Another great one.
Yeah, thank you. It's great.
All right, good night.